Good evening, everybody. My name is Prashray, and I'm from the applications team in Delhi. So I'll be briefing you a complete product portfolio in Allen and Heath. So these are a few small format analog mixers starting from ZI6, and you have the FX and non-FX version in it. A few of them starting from i8 will also support a USB interface with your machine. So these are a few more with increasing number of inputs and outputs, and the 6014FX will offer you group outs as well. So adding to the Z series is 12FX, 14, and going up to 24 with more number of inputs and group outs and outputs. Another in the series, other than the Z series is the Mix Wizard series at the bottom. So you have three models here: Mix Wizard 12:2, 14:4:2, and 16:2. In the large format mixer, in the large format, same coming from the Z series is the 420 and the 428 at the top here, and the Z436. So this competes with the signature 22. One second. So this was about the analog series. Coming to the digital series, we start from the QU. So the QU series, we have three models: QU 16, 24, and 32. This is where the digital series starts, and QU is the most cost-effective and basic series, but offering you basically every thing in a digital domain. So you have mobile applications with which you can control this device over the network as well. And all of the three models in the QU series will connect to a stage rack using a Cat5. So you have a single Cat5 running, and again, this works on 48 kilohertz. Using the different stage racks with these mixers, you can expand the local IOs to more inputs. So this was about the QU series with the faders. These are the two models with uh, which are the basically stage rack versions of the QU. So you have the same kind of engine inside, but without the faders. So in kind of scenarios where you don't need an operator live operating the mixer, so you can basically comfortably install these two mixers inside your stage rack and connect it to the network and have the controls over the network. Um, Using your free applications over your app store, both over your iOS and your Android. And also using a stage rack with QUSP and QU pack, you can expand the number of inputs from 16 to 32 with the QUSP, and from 16 to 38 using the QU pack. So on QU pack, as you can see, you have a display as well, so you can see what changes you're making on the screen. These are the few stage racks you can use with these mixers. So AR84, AR2412, and AB16:8, giving you the number of inputs and outputs. So this was about the QU series. Coming to the SQ series, which is the first in the 96 kilohertz series in Allen and Heath. So in the SQ series, the main specs is this runs on 96 kilohertz, again on FPGA technology, which is different from DSP technology. Now SQ has three different models: SQ5, 6, and 7. All of them have the same engine inside, so all of them will have a 48 number of inputs, which you can expand using a stage box. But the form factor being different, so you'll have less number of faders and less number of inputs and outputs on each of them. So you have 12 stereo mix outs, 3 stereo matrix, and basically you have the number of buses are 36, so you can go inside the setup and you can choose what kind of configuration you need. So you can choose between the number of group outs and matrix and the number of auxes So that is fully configurable. Also, you can connect this mixer using a USB connection with your computer and have 32 ins and outs both ways. And using the IO card, you can have 64 ins and outs. FX engines are 8, and this has a summing bus of 96-bit, which is enough headroom. And since this is based on FPGA technology, this runs on ultra low latency, which is less than 1 millisecond, as you can see. Also, in the key features, the protocol it works on with the stage rack is called S-Link. The processing it offers is deep processing, and it's a 7-inch capacitive touchscreen. Also, it supports AES ins and outs, and it is compatible with MIDI control. Also, it has automatic mixers as well, and it's fully phase coherent, so there's no delay between two different channels if you're adding any number of um, dynamic processing in the signal chain. So this is how SQ6 looks from the rear. So you have 24 microphone inputs and 14 outs. And on the right hand side, what you can see is the USB-B connector with which you can connect it to the computer, install the drivers, and multi-track record all the inputs.
Could you quickly talk about the I/O connection to that? That means what are the cards that you support?
Yeah, I'll be covering that in the next few slides. I have dedicated slides for those cards. So I'll show you the pictures also. In the SQ7, what you see here is again, since it's the same engine, 48 input it supports, but SQ7 on board will give you 32 local number of local microphone inputs, and again 12 stereo mix outs. So 32, this USB I've already told you. DAW control also it offers you, an automatic mic mixing also it has on board. System expansion, what all stage racks it supports and what all frequency it runs on. So at the top what you see are the expander boxes. Expander boxes all run on 96 kilohertz, and these which were basically the stage boxes with QU, it's backwards compatible, and it'll downsample the signals to 48 kilohertz. This is how a typical rig will look like. It's a daisy chain. So the mixer is being connected to the expander rack in a daisy chain fashion. Similarly, you can use this the expander hub, and use a star formation. So you can have your mixer connected to the DX hub, and then have your several expander boxes connected to that. In the first, you can see 3 expander boxes connected to the hub, and similarly you can connect 8 of them. So you can have pick and choose what all you can have 2 inputs from this and 3 from here, and similarly you can cover the whole stage, having the stage rack at different locations.
I have a question here. For example, if I talk about SQ7, so on board, how much inputs it supports? On board, how much mic line inputs we will
So
get?
on board, like in SQ, you have basically 3 models, but the models only differ in the form factor. So the
Okay.
engine inside, all 3 of them will support 48 number of inputs.
Okay, so for example, if it supports a 48 inputs and if I use additional racks, okay, so whatever bus it is actually supporting, that number of only channels in totality I will get, right? For example, let's say, for example, if this mixer supports 20 mic line inputs, or maybe if you can talk about the bus thing.
Right.
So if I'm using onboard, I'm using 10, and on my expansion thing,
Right.
I'm using 10 more. So in total, I would be utilizing the maximum number 20, or it's like according to the channels, how it is.
You can basically mix and match between the local inputs and the expander, but you can go up to 48. You can't go up to more than 48.
Okay, so for example, if I use 2 stage box and the total inputs it would only support whatever is the onboard we are getting, because in that ways we will get the controls.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay.
I got a follow-up question. Is that is a shared bus then, right? You know, so it is not the shared bus plus the 64 in 64 out. You can only do 64 in and 64 out. Sorry, 48
48.
inputs based on the limits on the shared bus. Am I right?
Yeah, see, basically, these are the number of inputs given to you. These are the many number of buses available to you. So you can basically split these buses between the local inputs and then expand to up to 48. So if you can keep adding expander boxes, so you can split those inputs between these expander boxes and the local IOs and have 48 from them. So you can not go up more than 48, but you can easily go up to 48. That was if I'm clear.
Yes, that's right. So the headroom is only 48 ports on it. If I
Correct.
do that.
Correct. 48
But
is
then
the top.
SQ8, as you see in this particular symbol,
7.
image that you've done,
Yeah.
total input sources 167. How do you arrive to that number then?
So basically the boxes will give you those many, but on the mixer you'll have to choose because the buses are only 48, so you can process only 48. So you
Got
can
it.
basically select 48 from them. Like you can pull 10 from first 10 from the first box, then pull only 3 from the second. So this is only done to show you that this hub can support these many. Because to give you an example, like recently the Alan Walker show, they've used 5 expander boxes. So those many number of inputs were not really supported by the mixer, but they just use the boxes to have an area covered. So one musician is standing on the left, so one stage box for him, so he's only utilizing 5 of the total given. So that is why you need more boxes to spread around the stage, not to
Got
use all the number of
got it.
inputs.
We are into permanent installations. So, what is the difference between this particular switch and the regular switch that we use? Are both the same, or there's anything specific enhancement within the Allen and Heath switch out there?
This is not a regular switch. This works on the this S-Link, which is a different protocol, which is a proprietary protocol only to run with the mixer. It's not a regular switch, so you can't use it to connect to laptops.
That's noted. But then, instead of this particular switch, can we not put a Cisco switch and expand these things, or if
No,
required?
because it's a different language basically.
So there's a proprietary communication between the
Yeah,
boxes
that
and the switch.
proprietary that proprietary protocol is called S-Link.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so it is based on TCP/IP, but it's a different. It's a layer above TCP/IP.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so so this is again how you can connect one mixer with another mixer. So you can have SQ7 connected with a QU, SQ7 connected with another form of SQ, and then SQ7 can also connect with mix rack from the dLive series. Since SQ is a beginning entry level in the 96 kilohertz series, which are basically 3 different series in the 96, this being the first one. I'll be showing you the other two in the coming slides. So S-Link here, again, it's the expander, how you use 48 inputs and 24 outputs from using this SQ5 this time.
Another question
Uh,
is that at some point earlier you said that the phase coherence between
coherence.
all the inputs and all the outputs with the signal been distributed.
Correct.
This and because your FPGA is doing 48 port only, and that's the limit, and using zero point 0.7
Mm,
microsecond of latency,
mm.
you are guaranteeing phase coherence even over the network ports. That means to the input output expanders.
Yeah, that is what it means. It means that if you feed two different the same signal in the two different ports, and if you add many effects on one channel and directly give out the outputs from the other port, both the signals will come out at the same times, and there won't be any comb filtering, and hence no phase issues. So that has been taken care of, and the technology with which this was possible with ultra low latency is called free field programmable gated array. So that is the FPGA, which is what makes Allen and Heath mixers unique and gives it an edge over other mixers which are based on fixed DSP architecture. So FPGAs, that is why it has less than 1 millisecond latency and with phase coherence.
Got it. Okay, we can move on.
So what you see on the screen now is SQ. You can use a C-class dLive mixer in a split situation. So you can basically use a C-class mixer together with an SQ. So one being an FOH and one being a monitor mixer. Using the same rack, you can use a Giga S card to split the channels between them and use one single mix rack to control uh, the stage as well as the FOH. So these are the cards that are supported by SQ, the Dante, an extra S-Link, and also Waves. So these are the IO cards that are supported. And so this was about the SQ. Coming to the second in the series, which is a very recent launch.
Just
And
before you go back to the previous slide, you said S-Link, you do have a Dante card, and you have a Waves card also.
right.
That clearly also means that we can use regular switches to link these boxes together, correct?
To put it on the network and have control over it, that is a different thing. That there you can use a regular regular Cisco switch. To control switch is different, and the card with which it transports audio, that is different. So you like your control systems to trigger MIDI controls and have control over the mixer so that you can move your faders and all that. The control thing, you can use your regular Cisco switch, no problem.
So what he's saying is that even to move my Dante audio, you need me to invest into one of the uh,
Dante card.
Allen Heath, Allen Heath switches, or I can not use a regular switch.
No, in addition to that, I will answer Selvin's question. Whether if you are using our Dante-based mixer, you can use any Cisco switch you can use for a Dante conversion. For S-Link is our proprietary card. It is used with Allen Heath to Allen Heath boxes. You can use our S-Link DX hub only. Allen Heath is recommended. Or if you are using a Dante, third-party Dante product, yes, you can use your Cisco switch or third-party any Crestron switch. It's any PoE powered switch is preferable. What Dante is recommended from Audio.
Duly noted, because our concern is that we would end up having all the wireless microphones on Dante.
Yeah.
You have audio coming in from other devices
Yeah,
also.
that they need to. I understand if you're using ULXD 4Q with the Dante, we can use the SQ Dante with our Cisco switch. But this S-Link is mainly for if you're using our input and output expanders, you need a S-Link DX sub is required. For example, for the mixing console and stage rack, if you want to expand for multiple stage rack you require, you need to use our SQ link card and DX sub is required. I hope I answer your questions.
Yeah, that's good enough. Last one, what is the SQ Wave card and which all brands support it? Is it only an Allen and Heath proprietary thing, or it's been
No, Waves is a very popular card which is used to process basically for effects. So you can use your laptop, you can use your Pro Tools, and you can have your effects on it. So it's like an insert, like a insert function on a mixer. So you can basically pull audio from any of the channels to your laptop, process it, add reverb to it, and send it back to the channel. So
Basically, wave cards mainly not used for installation purpose. They mainly used for your churches, mainly used for the sound engineers like production, broadcast. They will use the waves input.
My clear concern over here is that if SQ Waves is used for the effects purpose, and the limit of each mixer is to plug in one card only. Am I right?
yeah, this one for SQ there is only one.
One card, and we will. I don't know. Is SQ specifically revolving around only effects, or it can do live audio? So I'm assuming that you can use it for both, right?
Everything it can do. Matlab, it's good for installation as well as it can work with. So depending on what you need in a situation, like if you are using it in the install segment, you can go with the Dante card. So with this Dante card, you can put it on the switch, and the inputs will be available on the network, like Mani just explained. So with this Dante, you can have all the inputs directly pushed to the Dante network. So then from Dante, you can pull it off to wherever you want on the Dante network.
Noted. Right. We can move forward now.
Okay, so
Selvan, one second. Thanks for your questions. Can you put it in the chat? If you have any questions, you can put in that. We will have a question and session. We will update all your questions one by one. I am the moderator. I will read the questions. Let Prashdev. Then Prashdev will continue the flow.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for understanding.
So coming next, the Avantis is next in the 96 kilohertz series, which is a very recent launch. So bridging the gap between dLive, which was 128 inputs, and the SQ, which was only 48. So this will give you 64 inputs and 42 bus mix outs. So this is the bridge between dLive and SQ. So again, this works on 96 kilohertz. Again, FPGA, and it has dual 15-inch screens, and the UI is called continuity UI. Again, the audio protocol with which you connect the mix rack is called S-Link, and it has AES ins and outs as well. So one AES in and 2 ports for AES outs you'll get. This will have 2 IO ports, so you can have a 128 Dante card and have basically twice the amount of ins and outs. Not to say that you can't use all the ins. Similarly, you'll have to choose between from these 128 or 256. You have to pull 64, and you can process only 64 at a time. So this is how it looks from the back. So on board, behind the mixer, you will have 12 analog ins and 12 analog outs, 1 stereo AES in, 2 stereo AES out. Also, like the USB A 1 port, what you see behind, one is given in the front. So you have 2 USB option in this available. Also, word clock is available, so you can use this as a master generator for the word clock. Network, you have 2 network ports, so you can utilize one for your IP controllers, and you can put your router on the other, so that the mixer is available on the network. And as you can see, the IO ports, you have 2 IO port, so you can use 2 different slots. These are the cards available for Avantis. So Avantis can go up to 128 by 128 Dante card, and you can have 2 Dante cards running, so you can basically go up to 256. Needless to say, even if you are not using those 64, only case is if you have to use it for routing. So you can pull all these mixers, pull all these inputs, and just route it like a matrix. You can route it to anywhere on the network without processing it, but at a time you will be able to process only 64. Similarly, you have Waves card here, and the MADI card, and the Fiber Ace and Giga Ace. These are the stage racks that are available with Avantis. So to expand the local IOs from 12:12, you can move to GX4816 using the S-Link port, and daisy chain with the other expander racks with the GX. So you can expand these 48 to even more, and have a more spread kind of IOs around the stage or zones wherever you're making it. Avantis. So this is another how you can daisy chain with more than 2. So you can connect your Avantis to GX4816 for one, and then use a simple DX12, and then have another portable stage rack connected daisy looped with this. This is a simple comparison of how this mixer compares with Yamaha, Midas, and Soundcraft. So where it scores, I will tell you, it's a very detailed version, giving you like almost maximum number of inputs and maximum number of mix outs. Where it scores is the FPGA technology, whereas everything else you will see is DSP only, and the latency part. So many inputs all running at 96 kilohertz, but still the latency is really low, and DCA is again 60. So most of the places you'll find this giving it an edge over the competition. So this was Avantis. Coming next is the flagship in Allen and Heath. It's called the dLive. And dLive, you'll have two different series. One is the C class, which is the compact version, and the S class. So here I'll show you a brief introduction of how dLive came about. It's dLive is basically based on the iLive, which Allen and Heath launched years back. So from iLive, they have basically doubled everything. So double the number of sampling, double the sampling, double the number of inputs, the mixes, racks, and also the screen. So therefore, the name dLive. Uh, Again, it's based on FPGA, and the competition is all DSP, and the latency, hence the latency. Again, it's phase coherent. And one thing which is again unique about this is mostly people think it's the surface that has the brain, but in this case, it's the mix rack that is the mixer. So all the processing, all the engine is inside the mix rack. So what is connected as a mixer is just a surface, control surface. So like here you see, you can basically connect this mix rack, which is looks like a stage rack, but you can connect it just with the IP controllers and run the show if those many number of channels are the only channels you need. And even that is not required. You can connect your laptop with it, and there is a free software to run the whole mixer. So you have basically a graphical user interface looking like a mixer. You will have faders and all knobs on it. It's called the director. So you can connect your laptop running the director and control the whole show and run the whole show just by using your laptop. uh, if you want to go wireless, there is an option. You can basically uh, connect this mix rack to the network, and over the network you can connect your app, iPad and mobile, and use the free application, the mixpad application, and then you can connect your uh, run the whole show over wireless. That is also possible. So you can basically go without surface if that can be done. So in C class, what all this is very compact and sleek looking, and the best in, very good for install segment. So in C class, again, the engine, as I told you, is inside this. So you have basically three sizes, and all of them running the same engine. So same number of inputs, which you can expand using expander boxes. So you have 64, 48, and 32. So the C in this is what represents the C class dLive mix rack. Uh, this will give you a little view of how it looks. So you have different ports where you can connect your expander boxes, your basically personal mixers, and the network slots, and also an IO port. Here what you see, like the three different sizes in the mix rack, again in the C series you have three different models in the surface. So you have a C1500 with only 12 faders, C2500 with 20 faders, C3500 with even more faders. So you can basically mix and match with any uh, the mix rack or the surface, whichever suits your solution. uh, this will basically show you how many local ins and outs are given on the surface. So this adds to the ecosystem, the DX32 modular IO expander boxes. So you can basically expand and pick and choose what kind of IOs you need in one particular zone. These are the cards available you can use with the ecosystem. So also the AES cards, AES3 out. So depending on how many AES ins and how many AES outs you need, you can basically add these to the system. in the ecosystem, like this is an expander box again. A little closer look. And what all, again, the dLive ecosystem supports. So these are the cards that the dLive system supports. And Super Maddie also. AES also you have option with 4 in, 6 out, 10 out, and based on the need. This is the director software which I was telling you. It's a free software available on Allen and Heath website. So you can basically design and program all the show offline and just go with the show file being transferred after being programmed on the laptop using the director. You can save a show file, put it on the USB, take the USB to the show directly, and load the show and work without any hassle. So this is available on Mac and Windows both. So dLive, Allen and Heath, dLive also integrates with Shore Wireless. So since the system can be utilized, connected to the network, once your Shore system is on the network, the dLive channels can be bound to the wireless Shore microphone. So you can see the parameters like the battery, the RF strength onto the channel directly on your mixer. No need to run to the rack and check the battery and anything like that. So there is a Shore integration, very, very helpful there. So this will show you how the connections with Shore will work with the in the integration part. So QLXD4, ULXD4, all wireless systems here, or wireless systems connected to the mix rack and the dLive and the dLive director. So here within these, any of these, you can basically on your surface, or here you can monitor what is happening with your RF system. So this is a snapshot of how the RF devices will look on the surface. So you have different receiver, Shore, online, which one is online and which one is offline, what kind of device it is, ULXD, and you can basically associate the device with the number, whatever channels you want. So this is a preamp tab, so you can basically turn it on and off, and you can use external preamps as well with this. So this is how it looks, the frequency of the RF and the signal in it. It's just a snapshot. And this is another slide of the bank view, which is gives you an overview. So on the input 1 and input 2, you can basically see the RF, the battery and the signal. So this was about the mixers. Coming to the DSP part, this is the latest DSP that has been launched by Allen and Heath. It's called the AHM64. AHM64, this is how it looks from the front and back. So it supports 64 by 64 channel. Uh, um, and it works again on FPGA, 96 kilohertz, ultra low latency. And what you see at the top is a roof hatch, which you can remove the plate and add the optional AEC card. So you can have 12 channels of AEC, which is very useful in a video conferencing situation. And it has onboard 3 GB storage, which it supports MP3, FLAC, and WAV. So you can store those files, and there is an event scheduler. You can basically run trigger events and have them played over different zones. So this can control basically 64 different zones with a single DSP. So in the next slide, what I'll show you a better view of it. So at the top, what you see is a 12 ins and 12 analog outs. Below is a 2 by 2 GPIO port, and the S-Link again, with which you can connect your stage boxes and expand the inputs and outputs to 128 ins and outs. And network, again, you can use this network to put the device on the network using your obviously regular network switches. The Dante card here supports 64 by 64 on 96 kilohertz. It also supports AES 67 and Dante Domain Manager. On the left, you'll see an AC in and the DC 12 volt power backup supply. It also supports TCP/IP command strings for third-party control, and obviously Crestron, AMX, and Extron drivers as well. This can store up to 500 presets, 500 presets, and 32 user profiles. The GPIO device, the GPIO here can be used to trigger events. So it has event scheduler also inside it. And uh, similarly, once it's on the network, you can use the Allen and Heath hardware controllers to control the parameters inside those many zones you will be creating with this. Also, it supports 8 automatic mic mixers, so you can have a set of 8 channels of one automatic mixer and have such 8 different automatic mixers over those 8 channels. So you can have 8 into 8 basically auto mixers. Ambient noise compensation and all kinds of dynamic processing and speaker management functionalities you'll get 2-way, 3-way, 4-way crossovers, all kinds of filters, limiters, and delay on the outputs, and obviously a compressor and all such dynamic processing on the input side. So this is a brief overview of how this will look like. On the everything IO side, you will see expander boxes, the Dante version, the non-Dante version, the wall mountable Dante version, and similarly all kinds of expander boxes. On the left, what you see is the hardware. So in hardware, you'll see 3 different kind of IP1, IP6, and IP8. These are the 3 hardware controllers available with the Allen and Heath, and of course GPIO and other control surfaces are also supported. Third party, as I told you, Extron, AMX, Crestron drivers, and TCP/IP control strings using your third party software. Which software is can be used to program this AHM64? It's called System Manager. It's a free software, obviously, and you can download it over from the Allen website and uh, connect your laptop to the same network as this DSP and control and program the presets inside the DSP. I'll show you a few slides in the next. I'll show you how it looks, the user interface, in the coming slides. One more interesting thing is control surface command, custom control. So it's a bring your own device kind of application, which is again a free software. You can download the free software, the editor of custom control editor, and you can basically design your own control application. So once it's designed, you can upload it to the DSP, and then you can use your own devices like your iPads and your mobiles and log into the DSP, and it's obviously protected by a password, so you can uh, use these devices from different zones and control those zones uh, from your own devices. I'll show you that also in the next few slides. So where does this DSP fit in? It's very good for conferencing solution, obviously, because it supports 12 channels of AECs and speaker processing, as it has many different kind of filters. It has event scheduler, so you can control zones as well. It's good in audio distribution and paging as well, so it can be utilized to in a PA kind of situation. So these are the expander boxes it supports, most of them being running at 96 kilohertz, except for the last one, which will downsample it to 48 kilohertz. And these are the IP controllers, how it looks like. So all 3 of them, the controllers, basically all 4 of them, can be powered using PoE, and the IP6 and IP8 can also be powered using the 12-volt power adapter. So based on a total of 96 of such controllers can be used with one single DSP. It's a lot of flexibility there. This is how the system manager looks like. So you can have an overview of the complete signal chain from left to right. So what all is happening to the signal from the time it enters the DSP and along the way. So you can switch it on and off, and the latency still remains the same. This is another slide of how you go into the parameters, use gate and ducker. So you have the ADSR here, the compression on the left. And this is the IO slide where you basically route your signals coming from different inputs on the left and going to the different zones on the right. So this was a brief introduction for system software. The custom control which I was mentioning was a free software, like I told you. So this is how what all you can do with it. So these are different user interfaces designed for an example. So like for the last one, if I can explain it a little, below what you see are the inputs. So once you click on Spotify, you can increase the volume of Spotify, the source Spotify. Going into the lobby, you can increase the volume for Spotify in the lobby, and then you can route your microphone in the venue and make some announcements. So you can have your own design on any kind of device you want, on the laptop, on your phone, and on your iPad. So a few example how it fits in different scenarios, how it can be connected in a restaurant and a bar or cafeteria. So here what you see is an HM64 getting inputs from the media player on the top, and then connected to the network switch, obviously, and the outputs connected to the amplifier rack and going to the different zones. So this again runs to the different zones which the DSP is controlling, and the controller being IP1 here. So IP1, a wall mountable controller, is basically controlling this as a hardware. In the first room, you also have a stage rack, so you can have your local inputs, local analog ins and outs according to your taste. This is a typical conference room rig. So what you see at the top is HM64 connected to the network switch, then network switch using the Dante module running to different zones. So you have different Dante version of wall mountable stage racks controlling microphones and speakers in those zones, be it training room, boardroom, or uh, wherever you want to use them. And the controller being IP controller here. So you're using an IP8 to control whatever you program them to control. So basically you have 4 different zones here. And also below what you see is an HM system manager. So you can basically program it over Wi-Fi as well. No need to hardwire it. Also, you can connect your fire alarm control panel on the GPIO. Similarly, custom control application. Also, using the Dante module, you can have your digital Dante virtual sound card on your laptop and control, basically record whatever is coming in through Dante if you wish to. And in this slide, everything mostly remains the same, but instead of the IP controller, you're using custom control application here to control the different zones. So you can basically mix and match between IP hardware controllers and bring your own device, which is the custom control application. So this was a little brief about Allen and Heath analog and digital mixers, and also the DSP. Any questions, you please drop it in the chat. We'll address it after the presentation. So Mani, who's gonna be addressing
Prashya, I'll take over.
yeah, hi.
I-
So Haniel will present you with Sure. Thank you so much.
So good evening again, everybody. So if I'm going to talk about Show, so I'm Haniel. I work as an application engineer from South. If there's any problem with my transmission, please let me know. I hope I'm audible and everyone can see my screen.
Haniel, how long is this part in Telemax right now? Because I think only 9 minutes are left.
So I'm going to take a 10-minute of this, if that's okay with you, or how do you want to proceed with this?
I think we push it for next time and just quickly go through the question and answer.
Yeah, we will go to complete means your.
Yeah, we can't mix this and that, right? Let's finish the Allen questions.
Okay.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. I think Mr. Selvin has requested another session for our product portfolio from Allen Heath. He want to interact more on that. Let me finish the question and answer session because they have a call at 6 o'clock. Okay. The first question from Sonali. I think Sonali, he has sent me the dLive is all together for a different series, right? Prashay.
Sorry. Can you repeat the question once? I didn't understand.
dLive is all together a different series, right?
dLive, I just wanted to ask that dLive is a different series. Like for example, if you have SQ series and
Yes. dLive is a completely dLive
Okay.
is completely different series, and it's split between the C class and the S class. So within dLive,
Okay.
you have two classes, S class and C class. C class being the compact and the installation.
So for this particular dLive, like you have mentioned, that the stage box in itself is a brain rack, like what you said,
Correct.
right? This is applicable for the dLive, and again, since it is, I mean, divided into subparts A and
Both,
C
both,
class, both is, I
both.
mean, features wise, it remains same. I
Correct,
mean,
correct, correct,
like the
correct,
brain
correct.
rack is the stage.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That is correct. The within dLive, the mix rack remains the brain, both in C class and S class.
As classes there, and then I'll repeat only my questions. This director software, I realized that this director software is only for the dLive to have interface on the laptop, or we can use that particular software and then we can get the control for all digital
No,
series.
basically for SQ you have different applications,
Different
but the
application. Okay.
director is only for dLive. Avantis they're gonna be launching very soon. So,
Okay. So,
dLive, you can still go online and download and play with it. It works exactly like mixers, your regular mixers. You can,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Another
Noted. And
last
another
question
this,
is,
yeah.
yeah, you can raise.
Yeah, so this IP1 controller, what is the maximum number we can use? And the power supply is like for these for these IP1 is over Ethernet, or how it is?
Yeah, so IP1 can only be powered using PoE, and the total number of IP controllers is 96. So you can use 96 of the IP controllers over one DSP.
Okay.
Huh.
All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Selvinji, any other questions from your end, from the Allen Heath? You have some lot of questions. Hello? Hello? Sonali, is there any other questions for the Allen Heath? Before I'm handing Neeraj? Is there any other questions?
Got a quick question on the MADI connector or the IO connector. I see optical connectors over there. Where are these MADI optical also used, and what are the application for those?
The depending on where you want to see, once the signal has been processed on the mixer, so where do you want to send it, that defines your which card you want. If you want to put those signals on the Dante network, you go with the Dante card. If the wherever you want to send it, it's through MADI, the source accepts MADI, so you use a MADI. So therefore, depending on how you want to use the system and where you want to feed it, you choose the card.
I know that, but when do you use
Uh,
MADI and when do you use like S-Link, or when do you end up doing Dante? I mean, I get
Selvin, to answer you, I'll say Tanmay from West. So basically, I have seen this MADI being used for broadcast applications. So most of the broadcast consoles. So what happens? All the inputs come into the dLive, then it splits. Some goes to the live venue where you can send from the Dante to maybe a Yamaha console, and then some you can split it to a MADI console. So the broadcast people normally comes with a MADI interface, say Avid consoles, etc., Digico are MADI compatible. So you can send the inputs which are coming into the dLive, split it to three ways. One goes to a Dante, maybe a Yamaha. One goes to a MADI. So they are sending it to the TV channels or etc. So we can send it via MADI to that particular. So it's basically splitting. So whatever protocol you want to split it to any other devices, third-party devices, whichever. So if they have MADI, they can accept MADI. So that's the flexibility what dLive offers.
got it. Okay. Another question is about the software which is used called Director to run the input output module that
Right.
you have. Do you have multiple simultaneous sessions? Do you have restrictions like admin mode, and can you like have a twiddler mode where the stage operator has a limited control and all that? Does it have all the flexibility?
Director, you can actually run the basically the how many there is no, I think you can easily go up to 20, and I don't think you'll need more than 20. You can keep adding your devices and have control over it.
So
So
you can have parallel sessions. Got
correct,
it.
correct, absolutely.
And it also gives the flexibility of user profile. So if you want to lock a particular profile, maybe an admin who can do all the processing, and maybe other user who can only say a group of channels he can control, maybe just the inputs and the processing, the EQ and all. He should not touch the processing, the IO patching and all. You can lock those also with the user profiles.
Got it. On Dante, does the mixer support both master and slave clock modes, or it is only master?
Dante, basically Dante, you can over Dante the network with VIA, you can basically choose any of the device to be a master. So even this can be a master, or you can basically pick and choose.
Got
This
it.
can be a master.
Okay, maybe just to add on to this, since Dante itself follows the protocol where whenever you, log in into the Dante controller, it automatically
Picks a master.
starts with master clock only. Yeah, so that's, I think the same would be following in all your mixes wherever the Dante is being incorporated, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
Also, just one
sorry.
question.
Before
One question.
I have a hard
Yeah,
stop, so
okay.
I'm going to drop. But so the team continue. Nathan, you got to win my call. So I'll drop this call, okay?
Okay, I just have just a simple query regarding this IP1 controller. For example, if we have a building and wherein we are using these IP1 controllers at maximum flow, number of flows.
Right.
So the maximum cable run would be anyway, since it is on over Ethernet, so it would be Cat6. And then
100 meters.
then I can use the switches and those switches can be interconnected over fiber like that if we go beyond 100 meter.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks, noted. That was fun.
And one more questions. How many stage boxes connected means we can connect means maximum 4 or 5?
Which boxes? The
That stage boxes that if we want eight input.
You can connect many stage boxes, but the number of buses on the mixer will define maximum number of channels you can process.
Okay. And how many expander box we need for connect?
I think you shouldn't find a situation where you can go more than, you should be going more than 8. 8 will be more than enough. If you're using, if you're talking about the dLive and the analog mixers, right?
Your voice is not coming. Hello.
Hello.
Can you explain again?
Yeah,
so
you were talking about the mixers, right? The dLive mixers.
dLive mixer. Right.
Yeah, so you can easily go up to 8 using the hub, or you can then connect another hub and expand those into more. But again, the number of inputs will define. You can, no problem, increase the number of expander boxes.
Okay.
And we have Dante expanders also. So you can go as many. You want 64 zones, 64 boxes. We have Dante. So you can spread over wherever you want, as many as input outputs you want, multiple zones. And with the Dante stage boxes, we can do that.
Noted. Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions from? It's good to see a lot of questions for Allen Heath. Is good to see from Leo Thomas or anyone, Nitin, or anybody from Sarath. Any questions regarding this Allen Heath topic? Because since Selvin is requested another session for HMPL team for interact more on more session, I'm planning with May 1st or 2nd. Based on your availability, I'll send an email to Selvin because we have not finished sure and May and also we have to give. And again, if you want Allen Heath, we can give the same person. We can have an in-depth training also on a second schedule training. Is there any other questions before I'm winding up?
I'm not present, you know. It was good. Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for attending the session. Selvin has requested another session for sure. New ISC product update and wireless system and antenna system and Mayors on overview with Allen Heath. If required, we can do Allen Heath also. Since I'll in addition to AHM64, we can use for port ESP. Generally, we generally depend on a QSC and BIAM for our MX and Nano 0 because it's a flexible architecture. We sure P300 have a fixed architecture. For divisible rooms, we are dependent on QSC and BIAM. For all our designs. So now we have a DSP like AHM64 comes with the AEC enabled with the Dante 64 we are using for video conferencing for use during your design. If we have a demo kits available in South, West, and North, wherever you want our console to be demo, POCs or post-sale support, our application team will connect us. Thanks for attending. Thank you. Any other anything from your end? Okay, thank you, HMPL team. Thank you. Thanks for attending.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. We will connect again from May.
For the sure, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.